Hello, community, and happy Thursday to all of us. Welcome to today's community event. I hope you and yours are doing fantastic. As always, we're so thrilled to have these sessions with you, community. We always look forward to these events as they give us not only the opportunity to have a platform where we can meet and socialize and be informed and educated on current events, on what's happening that is affecting us as an industry directly or indirectly, and also as an ecosystem. And we can put our heads together and see how we move forward despite all the happenings surrounding us. With that said, community, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. We're glad to have you here with us today. We are a very active community on various different platforms, not only here on YouTube, but we're also active on Twitter. We have activities on Saturdays and on Mondays. We have YouTube like today as well, same time. And then we are very active on Zoom as well. Let's start with Friday and Sunday, specifically for the queens in the community, where they empower each other, uplift each other, and have consistent meetings that take place on Fridays and on Sundays. And then beyond that, we also have sessions on Wednesday led by Queen Debbie and Queen Val. Then we also have daily Zoom sessions throughout the week from Monday to Sunday. So as you see, we are a very active community, and we stress a lot about fundamentals, about being informed, being educated, and we invest a lot in information and being informed, because we understand that knowledge is power, and we understand that the blockchain technology is here to stay. The sooner we understand it and embrace it, the better for us, not just as a community, but as individuals as well. With all of that said, the topic is giving it away, or gave it away rather. Blockchain is the solution. This is something we always talk about. We always talk about this, and as we progress throughout this session, we'll even look at dates back when we were talking about these on videos that we made. And we're going to look how long we've been discussing this, how we've been always talking about these, informing and educating about these topics for years now, as we will see shortly. But we can't talk about this enough, because that's the reality of things. And sometimes you have to repeat things until it sinks in, or until it catches on, and it helps when it gets mainstream adoption and more are talking about it beyond just on our platforms, but on a government level, on an institutional level. And that's where we are right now. So people talk about this now. Market leaders, institutions, governments, as we are about to see, are talking about this now. It's mainstream now. This is no more a niche category or niche asset class, but this is now globally accepted, globally available, gaining new asset class, and that is gaining mainstream adoption. With all of that said, also, of course, I'm not forgetting the regular community members that are usually and consistently showing up in these community events. We're always thrilled, excited, and looking forward to these events with all of you. Before we get to today's session, as there's quite a bit to cover, I'd like to remind us of our daily activity that we have on Twitter, and that is to engage with the tweets, right? To engage with them by simply liking, retweeting the tweets, as we understand that this is all part of our educational sessions. One of our pillars is to inform and to educate. And how are we doing that? We do it as a community event, as a community activity, and we do it on a daily basis. So it starts from those who are very creative and are creating the banners, like one and only Crypto Riser, one and only Queen Val. They are the creative minds behind developing these banners, of course, under the guidelines, and of course also of Queen Mother Wino, as well, as she is the one that finally is tweeting them on a daily basis. And then the least we can do as a community, that's when we come in, is to just hit the like button and retweet. If we have some extra time, we can even comment something that we are passionate about, that we would love others to also know about our community. So I also see your comments. We'll come to it as usual at the end of the session, so that we get to today's session right away. The topic, like I said, blockchain is the solution. Blockchain is the future. And the earlier we embrace this, the earlier we understand this, the better for us, right? Let's always keep in mind that nothing that is happening today is new. So many technologies came ahead of the blockchain technology. We don't even have to go that far back, right? We can start right in the early 90s. The internet, it's not that old, you know? We're so used to it, and the millennials are born into it. But I need to remind us that the internet just went public in 1993. So that's not long ago, to be fair. That's barely 30 years, a little over 30 years ago. So it's not that long ago. And on top of, after the internet, a next technology came a decade later, literally, right? To be specific, 15 years later, the mobile technology as we know it, led or spearheaded by Apple through the App Store. And that same year, in 2008, multiple technologies came, including the blockchain technology as we know it today. But before that, like I said, App Store, the mobile technology, cloud computing, and then blockchain as well. So we see that all of these were being, there would be no blockchain without prior technologies. So where we are today, it's not a fast time. Those who are mature enough have been around to experience all these technologies that led up to today's blockchain technology. And if we are keen and sensitive enough and understand and see that even to today, there's still new innovations that are born out of the internet technology. So 30 years later, there's still new innovations coming out of the internet technology. So imagine how early we are using the blockchain technology. So there's so much more that is yet to come for decades ahead of us that we have no clue, we don't even understand yet. That's why we say blockchain is the solution. Blockchain is literally the future. So with all of that said, let's get to today's topic right away. I always like us to start with refresh. Just quickly go through CoinMarketCap. Like I always like to say, there should be a market cap. There should be a coin list, but not based on market cap, but based on liquidity to market cap ratio, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not the market cap that counts, but it's literally the liquidity that counts. That's what matters at the end of the day, at least to us, right? Retailers or even institutional investors. At the end of the day, the name of the game is liquidity. That's the game. So with that said, all I want us to look at briefly is the fear and greed index as usual, 73%. That means that the market is fairly green. As we see, we're up almost 5% in the last 24 hours. We're up to 3.5 trillion. That's an all-time high indeed. Bitcoin hit all-time high today as well. Ethereum has been really doing extremely well, progressing as well. And other altcoins, needless to say, have also been doing fairly well as well. That's all I want us to understand out of this. So let's jump right into today's session. And the best way to start is with a statement, and as usual, and then we'll dive into the challenges, and then we'll come with the solutions at the end. So one thing that we can all agree on is that even though the blockchain technology has, if we count Bitcoin, it's been around since 2009. So that's roughly 15, 16 years, right? And Many argue that there's not been much evolution. There's not been a much progress in these 16 years, actually. And arguably, stablecoins are literally always been front and center and are the super app, actually, in this industry. That's arguably the discussion right now that is being debated. So VCs, venture capitalists, are Wall Street, right? Investors, Silicon Valley investors that went through, like we started this discussion earlier. These are the individuals that have been around in the early 90s. They've been there, done that. These are the individuals that invested in the early stages of Microsoft, Google, Apple, PayPal. And these are the individuals. So they've been here before. This is nothing new. They've been here, right? And most of them are the ones that even came up with the apps that ended up in the App Store, and also the ones that are leading with the cloud computing. And now here we are again. They are at the forefront again, but leading with stablecoins. Here the article is claiming that stablecoins become priority investments for venture capitalists. These are individuals that are well informed, well experienced, and have been here before. And ironically, even the new crypto-friendly administration that the sitting President Trump appointed, majority of them are all venture capitalists, or actually even own a venture capital company. So they're well informed. So anyway, let's get to the bottom of this. So in a crypto environment marked with volatility, stablecoins emerge as the preferred safe haven for venture capital investors. For those who don't understand who venture capitalists is, are just, like we said, very heavy investors, predominantly in stocks and also in fintech. And these are early investors also that were here before, like we said, in the early 90s, that invested in the market leaders like we know them today, right? The Magnificent Sevens, the Teslas, the Google, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA. These are individuals that invested in those early days technologies and early days companies. And here they are again, laying foundations and not just dipping their toes, but literally jumping headfirst into this blockchain technology. So despite all the noise, geopolitical tensions, and market fluctuations, these digital currencies pegged to traditional currencies are attracting and growing attention, right? So why does this particular segment generate so much enthusiasm among the most savvy financiers? The key is here, the most savvy financiers. One thing we always talk about is smart money, right? There's smart money and then there's exit liquidity. So smart money are the so-called savvy investors, the smart investors. These are individuals that have been there, done that. They see things before it's all spelled out for them, right? And they invest heavily at the very early stages in new technologies before it goes viral. And these are the individuals that are seeing things before mainstream comes in with the exit liquidity. So anyway, just a few numbers here. Stablecoin jumped by 12% just in the first quarter of 2025 and reached an all-time high of over $220 billion. Now, keep in mind, the leading stablecoins right now are USDT and USDC. And they're not more than a decade old. They're very young, 8 years old, the oldest, which is Tether, right? They are fairly young companies, but yet the numbers came out that transactions of stablecoin alone surpassed the transactions of Visa and MasterCard combined. That's incredible. Last year's transactions already surpassed the market leaders Visa and MasterCard, not individually, combined. So this just shows you that indeed these are the super apps that are really moving the markets. Now, why is this so important? Why are we leading with this? Keep in mind, this is a statement that is going to help us to navigate today's session. So, it's because of this right here, right? The dollar settlement remains the leading use case for cryptocurrencies. It's really as straightforward as that. And why is this so important? It's because the dollar is literally under the spotlight right now. We already know about the the debt crisis that they're facing. We know that as a global reserve currency, there has to be major changes done radically in order to retain the global this privilege of being the global reserve currency. Major radical changes need to be adopted ASAP. So this is why if we talk about stable coins being the leaders in terms of transactions that are literally surpassed Visa and MasterCard, that are actually dominating over 90% of the current payment processing payment processors in the entire world, like globally, outside of China. That's impressive. And they're doing this in less than 8 years, within 8 years, less than 10 years. And Visa, MasterCard have been around since the 70s. So they've been around for over 50 years. So that just shows you that this is a technology, the blockchain is a solution for so many things, not just in the form of it being efficient, transparent, trustless, globally accessible, 24/7, immutable, and censorship-less, that you can just use your DeFi wallet and connect to applications such as Uniswap, Aave, or in our case, our staking platform, BRL staking platform. You don't need no permission. It's permissionless. And you are not restricted to certain jurisdictions. It's open and available. Everybody can participate. That's what this technology is all about. So another point that I just want us to highlight here is that analysts are expecting stablecoin market cap to grow 10 times by 2028. So within 3 years, stablecoin market cap is supposed to shoot from 200 billion to 2 trillion within the next 3 years. What does this tell us? This tells us back again that we're in the business of liquidity, right? How are markets stimulated? How are bull run triggered? They're triggered through liquidity. There's nothing you can do without liquidity. This is why even the president is pressing on cutting interest rates so that money becomes cheaper and it can be flooding the markets. This is why the push of stable coins are coming from Washington and so on and so forth. This is why also this next article, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but let's just get a glimpse of it. This is exactly the reason why Moody's also downgraded the US credit rating, because lack thereof, right? Because lack of liquidity, that's how important liquidity is. If you lack liquidity, you are rich in debt, right? These are two things that don't go together: debt and liquidity. So another thing that before we leave this article is I just want us to understand that right here, not only should we take this article's word for it, right, that it can reach stablecoin market cap can reach 2 trillion in the next 3 years, but we should also understand that this will bring a lot of attention and will bring a lot of volume, a lot of new applications, a lot of new liquidity. And this is why this growth naturally is attracting and bring attention to smart money, right? To savvy investors, those who have been around in the early 90s, those who've been through the internet, through the app evolution, through cloud computing. And now this is just another technology once more that they want to have a head start on, and they're known as venture capitalists, right? So they are all anticipating a sharp increase in investments in the short term, particularly in startups, like we said, in payments, again, funds transfer, remittances, right? Like this, stablecoins are going to replace all the Western Unions and all these other remittance companies that you have to literally go physically in the office to do that. All those things are gone now. That's old school now. Now you can do it on the blockchain. It's effortless. It's seamless. And that's the new technology. And also, most importantly, for treasury management. Treasury management, this is more something on an institutional and governmental level. And to manage your treasury, this means you can manage your debt correctly, right? You need a treasury management is important for large institutions and governments. Very important. And this is where they see stablecoins being able to play a major role, because the reason being, if demand for the US dollar stablecoin brings also demand for treasuries. So with that said, let's get to this next article. Like we briefly looked at it, let's now look at, now that we set the stage for today's session, let's now look at the challenges that we're being faced with right now. Why is blockchain a solution? What is it a solution for? Right? It's easy to claim things and to throw statements out there. So let's verify, right? And before we can verify, let's identify the challenges that we are experiencing right now with this current monetary system. And once we identify these challenges, we'll be able to answer the question, why and what for is the blockchain a solution? What is it a solution for? Right? It will make more sense. So anyway, one of the challenges that we're facing is obviously due to the current monetary system that we're in. This current monetary system is debt-driven. It's far from being liquid. And it's debt-driven because in its essence, at its core, in order to stimulate the economy, you need to inflate the market by printing fiat. We don't want to go way back and go through the history of fiat, but the moment Nixon got off the gold standard back in 1971, that was the birth of the current fiat system that we're in. That is not backed, fiat that is not backed by any commodity, any liquidity, any commodity, but it's just open-ended. You can print freely as much as you want and inflate your nation, right? So central banks of all the countries globally are free to mint or print as much fiat as they see fit. And the US right now is caught up in the midst of that. And because their GDP is not enough, they're not producing manufacturing enough within their borders to cover all the expenses that they need to cover for Medicaid, for healthcare, for expenses that they have, retirement funds, and all the social securities that they need for their residents and citizens. So in order to cover the balance, they have to print more money. And when they do so, they increase their debt level, they cause inflation, and the purchasing power of the US dollar loses its purchasing power. Moody's say enough, we're done with this. Now we need to downgrade the United States credit rating. This drops the credit rating and credit worthiness of the US. And why is this such a significant thing? Because the US debt market, US treasuries, have always been considered the most stable, the most secure investment in the whole world. There's nothing more secure than US treasuries. And now, with this downgrading of the credit rating by Moody's, this is shaking that myth, right? It's now a myth. It's not a fact anymore. And this is shaking a lot of mainly governments that are usually used to spend their surplus um, trading surpluses to buy US assets such as stocks, real estate, commodities, um, and the bonds, preferably the bonds, US bonds. And this is why we've been seeing specifically China, with the which is the largest trade, which has the largest trade surplus. They've been actually slowly selling off the US debts and replacing US treasuries for gold. And this, of course, if history uh, reminds us, is if we take history as an example, these are exactly the steps that were being taken by other nations when they saw that the US was minting or printing more fiat than they had the gold in Fort Knox to back it with. And then Nixon had to pull the plug and get off the gold standard because they were just running out of gold. And nations wanted to come and get the gold back. Here we are again, same situation. Nations are starting to sell off the US treasuries. Mostly the largest nations, such as China, that have always been the leaders, the number one treasury holders. So this is a challenge. This is one of the challenges that blockchain is a solution for. So let's keep this in mind. This is a major challenge for the global reserve currency, US dollar, led by the United States, which is under a global debt-driven monetary system that is literally required to, in order to stimulate the economy, they have to print fiat, because there's nothing backing this fiat. They can freely mint it if they don't have enough resources or GDP production within their borders to cover their expenses. They are forced to print. And when they print, yes, it's going to stimulate the economy. However, it's going to increase the debt, lose the purchasing power, and it's going to also cause inflation. That's one of the challenges. Let's keep that in mind. And let's not think that we are picking on the US, because, like we said, this is a global monetary system. There's not a US specific monetary system. So this chart is beautiful. I always like to take advantage of these sessions on YouTube because I can share my screen, and pictures speak more than 1,000 words, right? So these are all governments that are indebted because it's a debt-driven monetary system. So as you see here, you'll see all sorts of countries, all sorts of them. The ones on the far outside, they are the ones with the least. And then the ones that you see inside are the ones with the most GDP to market, like right here, debt to GDP ratio. So if you see the US here, they're not even the worst, because if you look at Japan, they almost have double the debt to GDP ratio of that of the US. And also you have nations such as Italy, Maldives, Greece, Singapore that are outpacing the US in terms of their debt to GDP ratio. So we're not just picking on the US. Has nothing to do with that, because this is a global monetary system that is debt driven. So this is the challenge that we're facing. This is what, when we say blockchain is the solution, what is a solution? What is it a solution for? This is it right here. Debt-driven monetary system. This is it, right? And it's on a global scale, not just limited and restricted to US. US is not isolated. It's a global challenge. It affects the whole world, all economies. And these economies are interconnected, right? As we can see here. So what else? Now that we understood how the downgrading of the rates and the inflation and the debt crisis and all of that, there's an individual that really knows what they were doing. He goes under the name of Ray Dalio, and he says that the U.S. Treasury, the risk of U.S. Treasury is greater than what Moody's just did. Right? Moody's is concerned with the credit rating and with the debt crisis situation. But this individual is saying that the US treasuries are even greater. It's a greater risk. US treasuries are a greater risk because large institutions large governments that formerly used to view the US treasuries, which are US debts, as the most secure investment in the financial markets, are now backpedaling, starting to sell off US treasuries. This is the major challenge. This is a much bigger challenge and risk, like we see here, than just being downgraded by Moody's, because Moody's said if you can have your debt crisis in order and bring back demand with the US treasuries, we'll get you back to AAA. That's not the problem. We'll get you back to AAA. Just make sure you bring demand to your US treasuries and get your act in terms of debt crisis in order. So this is the challenge right here. Risk is the US treasuries. How it's losing demand. It's losing it. Again, blockchain is the solution. Specifically, stablecoins are the solution, right? And as we progress, we're going to touch more on it and we're going to understand it even more. And if we just briefly go through this, like there's this large hedge fund known as Bridgewater. And this individual, Ray Dalio, he says that Moody's downgrade of the US credit, like we said, rating does not take into account the risk of the federal government printing money to pay its debt. Now, this is something that should not happen. Like we said, that the opposite of governments printing money to pay their debt is the government of Switzerland. They are printing money to keep their currency low because it's so deflationary, it's so strong, it's so in demand, it's a store of value. People are purchasing it in times of struggle and uncertainty like now, that the Swiss National Bank is actually printing money not to pay their debts and meet their obligations, but they are printing it to purchase foreign assets so that they can bring the strength of their local currency down. That's the whole complete opposite, because they are on a different monetary system. The Swiss are on a liquidity driven monetary system because they have a trillion dollars worth of foreign currencies. So they are extremely liquid. Whereas the US is sitting on over 36 trillion in debt. That's the difference. So they have to print money just to pay their debt. This is not sustainable. This is not sustainable at all. And this is, again, we're talking about challenges. And what is the blockchain a solution for? We are now focusing on the challenges, right? So when we address what is the blockchain a solution for, these are points that we're pointing out, that we're about to get into details and then point out how it's going to be a solution. So let's keep all of this in mind. So again, bondholders, and bonds used to be the most safest haven of assets, they would suffer losses. Why? Due to the depreciating value of the money they are getting paid. Does this sound familiar? This is very familiar, right? It happens in the crypto industry as well. People are holding certain tokens, coins that they're staking, and then they're being minted out and paid with the native tokens. And these holders of these bonds or tokens or coins, their tokens are being depreciated, devalued, because they're getting paid with money that is being printed out of thin air. And the same situation, the same challenge we face right now with staking platforms, as we are going to realize, we're going to see shortly. But for now, we're just focusing on the challenges. So those who used to buy and have confidence in purchasing US bonds, now they're being paid with money that is depreciating. That's bad investment. That's horrible investment. That's a challenge right now that our bondholders are facing. And this is why Ray Dalio is saying Moody's downgrading is not even a big deal. A bigger risk is that the US US bonds are losing confidence. People are selling it off, and those who are still holding it are suffering major losses because the fiat that the fiat they're being paid with is actually depreciating in value. So why take this challenge in the real world, in the traditional financial world? These are the challenges, community. So we see that why take this, put it on chain, and then claim that, okay, now we're on blockchain, so it's solved. No, this is still a challenge. This is the same challenge staking platforms are facing, right? Unsustainable staking distributions that are causing inflation. And we're seeing it right here in front of us. This is just with bond markets, right? So now that we identified another challenge, let's look at another challenge. This challenge is major. This challenge is major because, as we know, the US is the largest economy in the world. It has the largest financial economy in the world. Arguably and debatably, that's a fact, right? And who stimulates the economy? How is liquidity being introduced into the economy? It's through the banks, right? And the largest banks and asset managers in the world are predominantly from the US. We can agree on that as well. So 75% of all global wealth ends up in the US, in the US banks, in US asset managers, in the US stocks, US assets generally. It ends up in the hands of the US, right? Be it institutions, banks, the government bonds, you name it. So this is a challenge because now these same banks are sitting on 500 billion, $500 billion in unrealized losses. So these banks are illiquid. They are very illiquid. And if depositors all come together at the same time and try to withdraw their funds, the bank's already sitting at $500 billion of unrealized losses that due to the bonds that they've been buying, US debts, because banks are buying US debts. They're one of the largest US debt purchasers, and they are at a loss. So if you and I or residents of the US run to the bank at the same time, try to withdraw from a bank that is already at a loss, they'll go through the same thing that SVB Bank did just 2 years ago in 2023. That's the whole point. That's the whole message, right? And keep in mind, we're highlighting the challenges so that we can confidently answer the question, blockchain is the solution. Let's keep that in mind. So another challenge here is that banks got caught up chasing yield. Does this sound familiar? People are chasing yield, right? You see staking platforms offering 10,000% interest, right? Banks are not different. They're caught chasing that because the Federal Reserve hiked the interest rates to make it attractive, to make the US dollar attractive, so that bond investors will come and buy because they're getting 5% interest on US bonds, right? So they were chasing yield and took big losses once the Feds hiked interest rates, right? Because inflation. So those losses are still hanging around. They're not gone. And several experts told Fortune many core issues from the 2023 banking crisis pose a continued threat to the system, to this current monetary system, if economic conditions deteriorate, get worse. So here we are, the largest financial market in the world that are led by the banks. These same banks that have been chasing yield, specifically treasuries, once the Feds had to hike the interest rate, like put them up. Why? If you cause inflation, interest rates go up. And now these investors are being paid with the fiat that is actually losing money, right? Like we see here, it's losing its value, it's depreciating, right? Depreciating value. And now you're getting paid literally with something that is losing its value, and you're holding a bond that is not maturing for the next 10 or 30 years because you are rushing to have the most high interest rates, because the longer the bonds are in the future, the higher the interest rate. So banks purchase 10-year interest rates, 30-year interest rates, trying to lock in a high yield. And now they're caught up and they're stuck with assets that are losing and depreciating in value, and with the fiat that they're being paid with, right? And this is similar in the crypto space. You're staking a token that is literally causing inflation, is depreciating in value, and you're locked up for months or years with that token. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that. For right now, let's just keep this in mind, that banks are also caught up in chasing yield, bond yields. The longer the bonds to maturity, 10 years, 30 years, the higher the yield you get. They felt so comfortable because they knew that the US bonds are the most secure investments. We might as well lock it in for 10 years or 30 years. And now they're caught up in 500 billion worth of unrealized losses. And once you and I, or the depositors, want to rush at once to withdraw their money, their funds, we're going to experience like the likes of banking crisis of the likes of 2023. So to make this even clearer, it doesn't get any clearer than this. At the height of the banking crisis back in 2023 that caused SVB to collapse, literally, and the government had to come and step in and say to save the day and bail that bank out. The US banks were sitting on 684 billion. Now keep in mind, right now they are sitting at 500 billion. So it's very close, right? Very, very close, similar. So experts say that the level could be tested again if long-term interest rates continue to rise, driving down the value of long-dated treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, what we've just been talking about. So there is a challenge right here. And the US is caught up in a very tricky situation right now. They already have suffering a $36 trillion in debt crisis. There are banks that are actually should be stimulating the economy as we speak by flooding the markets with liquidity, are sitting at a 500 billion unrealized loss. The interest rates are still continuing rising, or rather they're still high, and they're caught up into long-term treasuries, right? That 10 years treasuries or 30-year treasuries that are giving them high yields. And this is a serious problem. This is a serious problem. So this is the challenge that we're facing. This is the situation that we find ourselves in right now, community. These are the challenges that we say the blockchain is the solution. Now, these are bold claims. Now that we've painted the picture of the challenges, we put them together and highlighted them, let's now do the opposite now. Let's look at how is blockchain being the solution for it, right? Let's now tackle the solution. Let's verify that indeed the blockchain is the solution. There's no better place to start than with regulations, with policies, right? Straight from the White House. So the Senate, like we know, just a couple days ago, advanced a major crypto regulation bill, right? Known as the Genius Act. It was finally waved through. Of course, it's still going to be debated on the floor, on a House level. However, going through the Senate was the hardest cookie to go through. So if it can pass through the Senate, and it was bipartisan, meaning that both the Republicans and the Democrats agreed, waved it through, this is always toughest. Senate is always the toughest. Usually when it passes Senate, it's a green light. It will become a bill. Once it passes the House, it will end up on Trump's desk, and then obviously he's going to sign it as well, as he himself has his own stablecoin as well. So now that we understand this is one of the solutions. And what is needed for this solution is crypto regulation. And this regulatory framework, known as the Genius Act, it would set up a regulatory framework for stablecoins, right? This is what it's going to do. It's going to regulate stablecoins. And why is this so important? Let's just remind ourselves why this is so important. Let's go back here and remind ourselves. First of all, because of the banks, right? They're caught up with holding US bonds that are at a loss. So regulating stablecoins will mean that they have to be backed. These stablecoins will have to be backed by US bonds. This means that once stablecoins are regulated, it will allow existing financial institutions, large new financial institutions, or asset managers to issue their own stablecoins, which in turn will bring demand for the bond market. And this is needed, right? This will sort things out. And like we also saw here, the downgrading from Moody is not the challenge here. The challenge is the US, bringing demand for the US bonds. That's the most important part. You want to bring back demand for US bonds so that nations, institutions, individuals gain that confidence back to purchase it. And how are they going to achieve that? The only way they're going to achieve that is, let's go back again, is through this right here. That's the only way, is this. The dollar settlement remains the leading use case for the cryptocurrencies. The dollar right now, the stablecoin, US denominated stablecoin is dominating right now on blockchain. Dominating over 90%, 95% of fiat on chain is US denominated. So this is their solution. This is using blockchain as a solution, because blockchain currently, the US dollar is dominating. US dollar denominated stablecoin is dominating the fiat space. And with the regulatory regulations being put in place right now, as we see here, this is going to bring demand for the US dollar on a global scale, and it will also bring demand to to the bond market as well. That's how it's going to be a solution. That's how stablecoins are going to be used as to strengthen the bond market and to bring demand for the US dollar. As straightforward, as simple as that. And this is nothing new. This is something that we've been discussing for over a year, and we're about to see verify that as well. So the procedural vote of the Genius Act, which would establish the first regulatory framework for issuers of stablecoins, like we said, digital tokens are pegged to fiat currencies like the US dollar, and it will require stablecoin issuers to purchase US bond, and so that these stablecoins are backed by US bond. Naturally, we just read that analysts are speculating that within the next 3 years, it's going to tenfold and hit 2 trillion. Right now, we only at 200 billion. So imagine how much demand is going to come from stable coins. And predominantly these stable coins, like we've been discussing, are on Ethereum. So imagine how much liquidity, 10 times more liquidity is coming in the next 3 years than what's been around for 15 years. So imagine how much more liquidity. So we're about to get more liquidity than we ever had in this industry before. Our entire market cap is at 3 trillion right now. And in the next 3 years, it's speculated stablecoins alone are supposed to jump to 2 trillion. So let's keep that in mind. Another thing I want us to just look at here is now that we said the cat is out of the bag. Even the White House now, even the so-called crypto Caesar, David Sachs, is now saying stablecoin bill will unlock not billions, but trillions for what? US Treasury. This is another confirmation, right? This just confirms it again. Now, not only the White House, but the chairman right now, known as David Sachs, is literally saying that, yes, we need stablecoin. We need cryptocurrency in order to unlock demand for US Treasury in the trillions of dollars. So this is not a secret, it's not a niche, it's not something that is just talked about within our community, but now this is on a governmental level, and it's not something that is nice to have. The US must have it, it's a necessity. In order to remain a global reserve currency, the US has to have no other options. They have to. And like we said here, the President Trump elected crypto Caesar David Sachs said stablecoin legislation will do what? Boost treasury demand. Breaking news, right? Breaking news. And keep in mind, this article was from yesterday, May 2020, May 21st, 2025. So this is breaking news. White House and David Sachs are saying that stablecoins will unlock trillions, and also it will boost treasury demand, right? Why we're being so dramatic right now is because community, the reasons why we stress so much on education is that in this industry, the point is to be ahead of the curve. Always be ahead. Don't follow the crowd and be the exit liquidity. Be ahead of the crowd. And this is why, if we look here, look at the topic. What was the topic here? Blockchain, the solution to the US debt crisis. This is one of the videos, the latest ones actually. And this was 1 year ago, back in 2024 in June, right? This was in June. And this is something we talked about a year ago, a whole video about it, about how the blockchain is the solution to the US debt crisis. This was in 2024 in June, right? Now, here is breaking news, and I'm being sarcastic here, right? This is breaking news from yesterday, talking about how stablecoins will unlock trillions of dollars, the US treasuries, and how it's going to boost treasury demand. This is something that we've talked about a year ago, 1 year ago. And this is today breaking news, right? And another thing I would like us to see is that is right here. Another thing I would like us to look at is this right here. Talking about how BULLRUN liquidity fund will be the full reserve digital bank, and how this is the future, and how this is stable coins are getting ready to take over. So these are topics we've been discussing since last year, June. This is the latest about that. We have so many. We have like over 300 videos on YouTube. And then this one right here again. Look at this topic. Stablecoin, the solution to US government debt, right? So there's another one. Here was blockchain solution to US debt crisis. Now here is stablecoins, solutions to US government debts. When was this? May 29th. So a week from today will make it exactly 1 year. Today we are May 22nd. So we are almost just a week shy of 1 year ago. We've been already educating the community on how stablecoins are the solution to the US government debts. These are things we've been discussing. And it's not even getting views. But we've been talking about these things for over a year ago. And these things now are news, headlines, breaking news a year later. And the irony here is that This former PayPal exec, or is still a PayPal exec, David Sachs, like we know, he was he was appointed in December, right? December 6th, 2024. That's when he was officially put into office, December 6th, 2024. So if we go back here, that's more than half a year before he was even elected and appointed. We've been already talking about what he's talking about now, right? What he's saying about stablecoins being the solution for government debts for US treasuries, we talked about it over 6 months before he was even appointed. And these are the type of headlines that are hitting the news. So what's the point now? Now it's public information. Now everybody knows this, right? White House talks about it. David Sachs talks about it. Yes, it's going to unlock trillions in US treasuries, right? So the point is, community is always to be ahead of the curve. This is why it's always important for us to participate in these events, to tune in, understand, engage, because we discuss topics way ahead before they become mainstream. And this puts us in a beautiful situation and allows us to be calm, right? Allows us to remain calm. Even when the markets are red or when situations don't go the way we would like it, but because we can anticipate what's coming, we're not easily swayed. We don't become emotional, right? And this is the important part of it. So another thing I want us to look at, community, is this right here. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Yes. So there will be, these are the individuals that are literally leading, are chairman right now and leading either the SEC and or financial task force. And this is very important. This is very important for us to understand that these are the leaders now that are going to flag through, give the green lights to crypto regulations. And once those are in place, this is exactly what's needed, community. This is exactly what we need. So another thing that I want us to briefly look at before we close out on this is this article. This Genius Act, it's literally legitimizing stablecoins now for global institutional adoption. So now it's very important for us to understand the importance of these regulations. Not only would it legitimize stablecoins for institutional adoption and set precedents, like set a stage, be an example for other global jurisdictions, according to the whoever this individual is, right? And another thing I want us to look at here is that the stablecoins, like we know, this act has been passed now, but it still has to be debated on the floor. It's been passed by 66 to 32. It was a real majority on May 20th, so just 2 days ago. And this is the whole idea here. The whole idea is that this bill seeks to set clear rules for stablecoin collateralization, right? And mandate compliance with AML, right? Anti-money laundering. The key here is that this bill needs to set clear rules for collateralization. The key word here is collateralization, community. This is the key word here. Why is collateralization key for stablecoins? Because stablecoins are liquid. Keep in mind, we're in the liquidity business right now. So, and one of the challenges was that the current monetary system is debt driven. and is lacking liquidity. And in order for it to bring liquidity, it will cause inflation because you have to print it. And it will raise your debt ceiling. It will devalue your purchasing power. So this is why stablecoins, because they're so liquid, they are excellent for collateral. Now, what else is used for collateral? And who else is using blockchain technology and blockchain products as collateral? None other than the largest asset manager themselves, BlackRock. BlackRock came up with a product known as BULLRUN, and this BULLRUN is used as collateral. If I may once more show you here, these are things we were talking about also 1 year ago, June 5th, 2024. We were talking about BULLRUN, how its liquidity fund is going to fuel the reserve digital bank from of Circle, right, with USDC. Like I say, these are topics that we've been discussing for so long. We've been discussing these, as you can see here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear. Let's just briefly tune in. Just exploration, especially if things are going sideways. There's so many uncertainties in the markets right now. Things can go in many directions. So it's always good to be informed and educated. As we always say, and we know, this market is really driven by emotions. And we really need to put our emotions in check. And the best way to do that is by staying informed and educated, and using these platforms to just bring clarity. Right now, we see not just institutions, and these are large institutions, financial institutions that have started to disclose that they've been having holdings, ETFs holdings of Bitcoin. But now we also hear that states such as Wisconsin, and this is not just a state, this is like a pension fund, the first pension fund that is literally invested into BlackRock's Bitcoin spot ETF. Also, the focus is not only on the Bitcoin ETFs alone, but also on stablecoin. The US is strategizing in order to address both the issues with the BRICS that have been strategizing on their own, coming up with their own payment systems, and also debt management as well. Because US being the global reserve currency, they are under a lot of pressure right now of finding ways how to manage that debt because it's spiraling out of control. And if community, I'm not going to play out the whole video. This is just to show you had it. This is what 11 months ago, as you see here, clearly here. It didn't even get much views. But these are topics we've been discussing for the longest. These are topics we've been discussing, and we were talking about how stablecoins are the solutions and how blockchain can be used, specifically Ethereum, and use these stablecoins that will serve as a solution for debt crisis, because stablecoins will bring demand for debt, for US debts, right, for US treasuries. This was 11 months ago. So this is why we say that there's no excuses for us to be ignorant or panicking or uncertain or fearful about situations. These are things we should actually already know, because we've been discussing about these things for so long, right? And finally now it's just happening. Now everybody's talking about it. Now it's common knowledge, right? Now it's no longer a niche. So like we were saying, stablecoins are now being used as collateral because they're liquid. It's in the liquidity business. And this is right here that we were talking about. BlackRock is eyeing the derivatives market, which is a $1 quadrillion industry. And they want to use their own BULLRUN token, which is tokenized treasury bill, right? These are tokenized treasuries that are being used or going to be used as collateral. And BULLRUN is paired, by the way, with USDC, a stable coin. So this just shows you if the derivatives market is a $1 quadrillion market and BlackRock is using BULLRUN in a $1 quadrillion market that is paired with USDC as collateral. So this just shows you, gives you an idea of how much liquidity that is about to hit Ethereum specifically, because that's the home of stablecoins. And this is just something that we've been talking about, and I wanted us to really understand this, because BlackRock, right, they're using or allowing their BULLRUN fund token to be used as collateral for the derivatives trades on these various exchanges. The largest exchange in the world, Binance; second largest exchange in the US, OKX; and Deribit. Deribit was the exchange that actually was bought up. It was bought up by Coinbase, right? This was one of the largest acquisitions by Coinbase. They bought them up, and they're actually based in Dubai. So these are things that we see. The derivatives market is a $1 quadrillion market. BULLRUN, which is launched on Ethereum and paired with USDC stablecoin, is using it as collateral for the derivatives market, which is a $1 quadrillion market. And these are good for the US dollar, because BULLRUN is the tokenized version of US debt, US bond market. So it will strengthen, they'll bring demand and liquidity for the US bond market. And because they're paired with USDC, and USDC needs to also purchase US debt to back their USDC stablecoins with, you see how this is a solution. Blockchain is the solution for the debt crisis, like we've been discussing and talking about for the last over a year. And we've been educating and informing about all of these. So I highly recommend go back to our library. We have a whole videos dedicated to these topics that are breaking news today and yesterday. We've been talking about these things, and we should not be caught up in this noise and all these uncertainties that the markets is caught up in, because we're supposed to know better, right? We're supposed to already anticipate these things, because these have been topics that we've been discussing and talking about for so long. What makes this even more interesting, community, is BlackRock took it a step further. The SEC task force, which is led by the same individuals that are also venture capitalists, that, like we read the article before, like Besant and Sachs. Their BlackRock requested a meeting, like we discussed, just within a week, right? Just within a week ago, to discuss certain topics with the SEC, right? The task force, and look at the topics that were on the table. First of all, BULLRUN. Then we just look at how BULLRUN is being used for the derivatives market. BULLRUN is launched on Ethereum and is being used as for the derivatives market, and also paired with the USDC stablecoin. So do you see how it's not a coincidence? Predominantly Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, has been pushing for tokenization of assets, be it real estate, commodities, his ETFs, stocks, and so on and so forth. So you see here, IBIT is an ETF, Bitcoin ETF. Ether is an Ethereum ETF, and BlackRock's digital liquidity fund, BULLRUN. So these are their products that they are presenting to the SEC and are pushing for regulation, so that they can finally put them out in the market and start using them on chain. Another thing is staking. We're discussing perspectives on treatment of staking, including considerations to facilitate ETPs. These are ETFs. ETFs are funds, Ps are products, right, with staking capabilities. Now, keep in mind, in Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, Europe, Ethereum staked ETPs are already common. Like we saw, Switzerland is already offering Ethereum staking through their government-owned bank, Post Finance. The residents and citizens of Switzerland can already stake ETH. So they're already way ahead. And this is why BlackRock is pushing, like, hey, we need to catch on. Hong Kong already is having that. Switzerland, Singapore. they're already having all these products out. They already have ETH staking. We need to push this. And then tokenization is another one. And then the crypto ETFs, right, also to push these. And options trading. Now, this is over the counter. This is where now the derivatives market comes into play, like we just talked about and read about. And this is where they want to use the BULLRUN token for the options market, which is the derivatives market. So we see that things that we were talking about years ago are now real, happening in real time, right in front of us, community. These are things that are happening now, right in front of us. And this is just showing us how early we were in this industry. How much, like, we were talking about topics that were not mainstream yet even, and are finally becoming mainstream now. Not from our community, not me saying it, but now David Sachs saying it, right? Besant saying it, the Treasury Department saying it, White House, Washington, D.C. saying it, right? So BlackRock talking about it. So these are topics that are now happening right in front of us, and these are solutions that are being implemented using this latest technology known as the digital ledger technology, known as the blockchain technology. And this is today's topic. And we've come full circle now, right? We verified that. First of all, we identified what were the challenges in the industry: a debt-driven monetary system, debt crisis. Banks are sitting under $500 billion of unrealized losses due to the bond market that is being sold out by the likes of China. They don't trust. The trust in the U.S. bonds and U.S. assets are swindling, are decreasing. It's been also downgraded by Moody's as a credit rating. And we see all these challenges that are being thrown at the US dollar and the US government. And the only way out, the only way they can dig themselves out of this situation is to embrace, not just to embrace, but to be the leaders using the blockchain technology. And this is exactly what's happening right in front of us through digital assets, through staking, through tokenizations, through ETFs, options trading, derivatives market, using these infrastructures built on Ethereum, right? So what we used to talk about in theory is now already in full swing, happening as we speak, and verifiable on chain. So this is to verify that blockchain is indeed the solution. Now let's come to a close. Let's not make this too long today. And I'm not forgetting the promise that I made, that I was going to show us and verify that indeed we are the #1 most staked cryptocurrency in the entire industry, right? And we always like to verify things. That's the beauty of this technology. You can verify things. You don't have to trust me or trust our community. You can check it on chain. The data is on chain. We can all verify, right? It's public information. So here is a beautiful website known as DeFi Llama. And we want to start with the largest application in the industry, right? Let's take the biggest, largest, most used, and the one with the largest total locked value, almost 26 billion is locked. This is the #1 application in the entire industry, right? Even Uniswap comes at number 11, right? And we all use Uniswap. So Aave is a lending platform, lending and borrowing platform on Ethereum and on multiple other chains, 17 other blockchains. So it's a large application token with very large use case. It is the most used application in the entire industry. So now that we say that, let's go and look at how much. You would think that, okay, a lot of people must stake Aave then, because it also has a staking platform. So let's go and take a look. How many people are staking Aave? What's their staked percentage, right? This is the largest application. So let's look at let's look at it. So now, if we come here, we can go to Aave, and we find Aave right here. So now that we find Aave here, let's come down here. This is something that we can do our own, right? You can do this yourself. So if we come to Aave, we copy this contract. Once we copy this contract, we come to Etherscan. This is on-chain. This is the beauty of it. We can verify things on-chain. So now you paste this contract from Aave, and then you come here and you see Aave token. This is what you want to come. You press Aave token, and then you need to come to holders. You press holders. So now we have Aave, right? This Aave token, and then we came to holders, and then the number one wallet is the staked Aave. You see how this is a staking contract. You see here it says contract. This is a contract. It's a staking contract. Just like we have a staking contract. This is Aave's staking contract. And now what we care about is right here, percentage. How much Aave is staked? 18%. 18% of Aave is being staked right now. 18% of Aave is being staked. Now keep in mind, this is the most used application, not only on Ethereum, but in the entire industry. This is the number one application with the amazing use case and utility. It's a lending and borrowing platform. And as we saw here, it is literally the number one application in the space, right? And what we're focusing on here is to see how much of it is being staked. 18%. Now you ask yourself, why is this the case? Why does Aave only have 18% staked, even though it has so much utility, so much use case? It's the largest lending and borrowing platform. Why does it only have 18% staked? It's due to its inflationary mechanism, right? It has an inflationary mechanism, community, meaning that first of all, if you stake Aave, you get more Aave. Let's come over here. If you stake Aave, you get even more Aave. And if we come here, there's a place where you come markets. You realize that Aave has a staking platform that gives you more Aave, causing inflation. We just discussed this. And those who are staking Aave are their token is being diluted. They're losing their purchasing power because the ones that are already staking, that are locked up in staking platform, are forced to receive even more of the same token, just like the bondholders we just discussed. Now, new tokens are being minted and given back to those stakers, causing even more inflation. So smart money said, not with us. We don't want to be part of this, and we're not going to stake Aave because it's inflationary. So for a staking platform, you can't be inflationary. You can't be part of the problem. You need to be part of the solution. And like we said, this is not to pick on anyone or pick on any application, because I personally use Aave as well. It's a great technology, great use case. Is just to highlight the importance and the challenges that we are facing right now in the industry and how we are addressing these challenges. That's what this is about. It's not about criticizing, downplaying, none of that. It's simply to just highlight that we are experiencing challenges in the traditional industry, but also in our crypto industry, and how the reason why staking percentage is not as high, because they're causing inflation. If you stake Aave, you get even more Aave. So they're causing inflation, and they don't have a banning mechanism either. So that's the challenge, community. So let's not compare ourselves with the largest application. Let's look at blockchains, right? Let's look at blockchains. This is a list of the most staked tokens in the whole space. So you might ask yourself, oh, Steve, but I see 95% and 87%. What is key XKI or Reagan, right? Just to get this out of the way, let's start with Reagan. If we go here, let's look at what that is. What is Reagan? Reagan. It's no longer around, right? It was a rug pull, so it's a dead project. It's no longer around, right? So that doesn't count, right? That doesn't count. So what is the other one? It's KIXKI, right? At 87%. Let's look at that. Let's look it up real quick. This is it. Same thing, right? Same thing. It's dead, right? Unfortunately, it's no longer around. So now the real legitimate ones are Sui and Aptos, right? Sui and Aptos are literally the number 1 and number 2, and they are sitting at, as you can see here, staked amount is 76.36, right? That's the staking ratio. And if we come up here and look at what it says, staking ratio, the percentage of eligible tokens that are currently being staked or delegated to the network, right? So this is the percentage, and the number 1 right now is Sui at 76.36%, and then Aptos at 75%, right? So let's look at Sui at 76.36% staked, and then Aptos as well at 75. So if we go back to CoinMarketCap and we look up Sui, we'll see that Sui is the 11th largest blockchain in the entire industry. They're the 11th largest blockchain in the entire industry, which is amazing. And another thing I want us to look at is right here. Their total supply is 10 billion. However, right now they only have 3 billion. So one third of the total supply is out. So there's still roughly 7 billion of supply that is about to hit the market. And this is, we can see it right here. You see, you can verify and see, okay, there's only 3.33 billion in circulation, but there's a total supply of 10 billion. So this is exactly what we can see here. This is the beauty of blockchain. You can always verify. So you see that 33% is unlocked. This is in circulation, but they still have locked supply that is still about to hit the market and cause inflation, right? So not all the supply, not 100% of the supply is in circulation. So let's keep that in mind. They still have 66.6% of their total supply locked up, and they're releasing it on a release schedule. And if we see where those are coming from, they're predominantly from contributors, Series A, B. These are the venture capitalists, early investors, and from the holders themselves, right? And then they have allocated half of it that will be released in 2030. So there's still inflation that is going to be caused. So this is a staking platform that will be inflationary because not all of their supply is out yet, right? Let's just keep that in mind. However, this is the 11th largest blockchain. It's a blockchain. It's not an application. So this is by far right now, according to this list, at 76%, it's the most staked right now, right? At 76. So if we look at ours, just to be curious, how much have we staked so far? Keep in mind, this is not to compare or anything. This is just to celebrate this milestone, this achievement of having the title of being the most staked cryptocurrency in the entire industry. And I promised that I was going to show it to us and to verify, so that we can really verify and see that indeed we are the most staked cryptocurrency in the entire industry. So you see that 77.78% of our total supply is staked. So officially, we are the most staked cryptocurrency in the entire industry community. So how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? And this is something that these are the things that we can really take pride in, because it just shows that our proof of concept works, right? Because our ambition has always been to be the most staked, right, amongst others. So what we need to ask ourselves here is that when you focus on fundamentals, when you focus on solutions, when you use the blockchain technology to be your solution, these are the side effects, these are the results that you get. And then have a community like the one that we have, that believes and understands, is informed and educated, and embraces the solution-based approach. This is what we get. And I want to tip my hat to all of you that have made this happen, because we achieved this as a collective. We achieved it as a community. And this is something that no one can take away from us. We just verified we are the #1 most staked cryptocurrency, fair and square, in the entire industry. And we're verifying it not on my notes on Excel sheet. We are verifying this on Etherscan. This is the blockchain. This is a place where everybody can verify, right? This is not on a napkin somewhere that we wrote together. This is the blockchain, and the blockchain doesn't lie, right? Numbers are right here. So community, congratulations of being the most staked cryptocurrency in the entire industry. So without even being listed on CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, without even going through a bull cycle yet, none of that. And again, we're focusing on the fundamentals, meaning that we have a staking platform that we started with a supply of 1 million, and our supply just keeps shrinking. This is how a staking platform should be, not causing inflation, but actually reducing its total supply. This is a supply. This is our entire supply is out. We have no other. We're not going to mint any supply and add to the circulating supply. This is it. Actually, the supply keeps shrinking, right? And this is something that I just wanted us to see. Now, I have a question. If we can be the most staked, what keeps us from being the most liquid, the most scarce, the most staking rewards in USDC, the most traded, the most expensive? What keeps us from that? Yes, this is a major milestone. We are the #1 most staked cryptocurrency in the entire industry. But this is just one step, one ambition out of many, out of the 5, right? So after we are the most staked, we are still ambitious to be the most liquid, the most scarce, the most staking rewards, the most traded, literally the most expensive cryptocurrency in the space. How are we going to achieve that? How are we going to achieve that? Not through wishful thinking, not through hyping and speculating, but through fundamentals. By using this latest technology, the blockchain technology, as a solution, like the title of this video is today, this session is the blockchain is the solution. If you use the blockchain technology to our advantage, and with every trade we accumulate liquidity. So every time there is a trade, whether it's a buy or a sell, liquidity is accumulated. And not just through trade, liquidity is also accumulated through the 10% of the BRL that we put aside and staked. 10% of the total supply is staked right now. All it does is accumulate USDC distributions and then buy back and restake. That's all it does. And then besides that, we also have staking NFT boosters. Our NFTs have a utility. You have the ability to stake 5 of these NFT boosters to unlock 100% of your USDC distributions. And the This enables BULLRUN to build a sustainable and healthy liquidity because the revenue generated from the sale of these NFTs are used to feed into the liquidity pool. So the NFTs are a source of liquidity. The 10% put aside that is earning USDC distributions to buyback and restake is also contributing to liquidity. And also the trades that are happening, 3% of it is going towards liquidity. So this is why we also, let's come back over here. This is why we have such a healthy liquidity. We have a proof of concept, as you can see. Our liquidity is at 689, closing in on 700,000 as a liquidity. And that's with the not even 3 million market cap. This is why we were saying the market cap is not important. What really counts, what matters is your liquidity. Because this is the challenge that are being faced right now, right? So we have various mechanisms in place, various different ways to retain liquidity. And this is what's important. And the beautiful thing about all of this is that every single one of us, every community member is part of the solution. Because every time you trade BRL, you are part of this solution because you are causing increase in liquidity, you are causing scarcity in supply, because we have a true ban as well, and you're causing accumulation of USDC distributions. So all of us are part of the solution using the blockchain technology. And we are so ahead that what we've been talking about a year ago is now breaking news yesterday and today. So community, this is how. We don't have to wish or speculate or all sorts of things, but we just need to be informed, educated, ahead of the curve, embrace what we have, use the latest blockchain technology, put mechanisms in place that are addressing the 4 challenges in the industry, which is lack of liquidity, inflation, like we've just seen in the real world as well, debt-driven monetary system that we're in. So, and have a sustainable staking distributions that are not causing inflation, right? We see how though the bondholders, for example, they are being paid with freshly minted, printed fiat, causing inflation, devaluing what they already have. We see staking platforms like we saw. This is the reason why there's not a high percentage stake, is if you're giving your stakers, paying them with native token that is causing inflation, that's a challenge. And no smart money wants to stake a token that is causing inflation, that is inflationary. That's a challenge that needs to be addressed, right? So community, that's what I need to understand. What we need to understand that if we can be the most staked, what is keeping us from being the most liquid, the most scarce, the most staked, the ones with the most staking rewards, the most traded, right? And all of those things will lead to being the most expensive. Why not? And to achieve success, we need to focus, community. And we need to put all our energy on solutions, not on speculations, wishful thinking, hypes, trends, but focus all our energy on solutions and fundamentals. Mute all the noise and then embrace reason and common sense. And this is why we offer education and information on various platforms like we discussed, on Zoom, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on a daily basis, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. We have a library of over 400 videos that we've talked about, that we highly encourage the community to tune in, listen in. Let's embrace knowledge. Let's be inquisitive, and let's prepare ourselves for what's coming, right? So we are educating about what we already have developed, community. That's the difference. We are not educating on what we intend to still develop. We highlight the challenges in our industry and don't moan about the challenges on social media, but we deploy solutions on blockchain using the latest technology, the blockchain technology, as our solution. So we don't talk about it. we're actually educating about it. That's a difference, right? Because it's already here, it's already developed, it's already a proven concept, it already works. We are already the most staked in the industry. So this is not something we're just talking about. We are literally, it's a blueprint, it's a proven concept. We can show it right here on Etherscan, everybody to see, right? And you can see our supply on Etherscan keeps shrinking. You can see right here on DEX how our liquidity is literally increasing. So all the challenges that we're addressing, the liquidity challenge, you see how it's healthy. The inflation challenge, you see how our supply keeps shrinking. Sustainable our staking platform, you see how we are the most staked in the industry. And if we want to see our sustainable staking distributions, you see how our USDC is accumulated. We are at 8,000, closing in on 8,500. USDC is, these are rewards that are being accumulated with every trade that is sustainable as well. So these are the challenges we are addressing. Sustainable staking distributions in USDC, not in BRL, not causing inflation. We have a supply that is shrinking with every trade. We have mechanisms in place that literally accumulates liquidity. As you can see here, we have a very healthy liquidity as well. And this is exactly what we are about, community. We are about educating about what we already developed. We're not moaning about these challenges, but literally we are highlighting the challenges, turning them into solutions and seeing them as opportunities, and then just educating about it. It's already deployed. It's already developed. It's a blueprint of a proven concept that we are actually just educating about, right? And there's nothing more beautiful than that. Imagine if we had to still build all of this. It's already done, right? This is it on our side, community. That's the message for today. And I just wanted us to understand and celebrate that we are indeed, we have surpassed both Aptos and Sui as the most staked cryptocurrency in the industry, with Sui and Aptos being blockchains. They are actually blockchains. And on this list, there are no applications. They're all blockchains, literally. So amongst the blockchains, we are the only applications and the most staked application in the industry. And this is something we can all be proud of as a community. And nobody can take this away from us, community. And it's through sheer effort, consistency, and collective hard work that we achieve this, right? And it's just the beginning, community. We have so much more to achieve. And with these fundamentals that we have in place, we're going to achieve all of those aspects, being the most traded, the most liquid, the most scarce, the one with the most staking rewards, and the most expensive as well. So community, this is it on our side. Let me come full circle and look at your comments. Let's go through your comments so that we can close out this session. We have King Anna says, indeed, blockchain is the solution. Absolutely. Community, like I said, I always like to learn from history. And if we are good students of history, we can always look back and see what happened in the early 90s. What approach did Google take, Microsoft, Apple? Why are they market leaders today? They took a problem, or rather I should say a solution-based approach. They looked at the industry, studied it, and then listened to those who are moaning and groaning about the challenges, and then they turned those moans and groans to opportunities and solutions. And these are the market leaders of today. Whenever you have the opportunity to be part of a new technology, emerging technology, live it, breathe it, soak it in, especially if you have a community that is so educational driven and offers so many different platforms for us to be informed and educated. Let's embrace it while we can. Because let's be honest, it's not going to be like this forever, right? And let's embrace it while we can. and we have hundreds of videos on YouTube, on Twitter, on Zoom. We are available all the time, on Facebook, everywhere. So this is the time to embrace it. This is the time to learn. This is the time to ask questions, grow. This is the time to do it, and let's be eager to do that, right? So beautifully said, King Ernest. Then we have Queen Alice says, greetings, Steph Steve, our Queen Mother and community. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. Yes, very ready to learn this very interesting tonight. Hats off, Steph Steve. Whatever you've been teaching is here now. Blessings. Thank you so much, Queen Alice. Always a pleasure to see you in the community. You're very much appreciated. And it's beautiful to see that we as a community, what we are informed and educated about is literally taking place, and it's hitting headlines now, right? And this is how it's supposed to be. You don't want to be the one coming at the end, right? When all the food is already eaten up and people are actually on the way out. That's not how you want to enter an emerging market, a new technology. You want to be not only participating, but you want to be literally shaping it. And this is what we are about, right? And this is what we, all of us are about. We have queens that are going out of their ways on holidays, Sundays, to educate, inform in remote places, right? Like Queen Lati was doing, and Queen Debbie, and all of the queens that are really going out of their way to do that. It's just amazing how much impact these community members are adding, and how much value that community members are adding to this community. So it's always good to go above and beyond, and to be ahead of the curve, so that we seated at the table, right? And we're not getting the crumbs that are left over, right? But we are actually seated. We have a seat at the table. Queen Debbie says, I'm so ready for this amazing session. Greetings, BULLRUN community. Greetings right back to you too, Queen Debbie. We were just talking about you, how you were going out of your way, you and Queen Lati, and just to educate and inform about the technology, about the blockchain, about our ecosystem, and just educating individuals and bringing them on board to be part of this movement. You're very much appreciated, Queen Debbie. Then we have Queen Grace as well, saying happy Thursday, Steve, Mama Wino, and the entire BULLRUN family. It's another blessed day to learn more about blockchain technology as the future. Much thanks, Steve, for all your labors. God bless you. Thank you so much, Queen Grace. I can only give it back to you as well. You are always here consistently. You don't miss any events. You're on various platforms, always participating, always engaging. You are so much appreciated, Queen Grace, just as much. May you and yours also be blessed. We have Queen Anne. Says, greetings, King Steve, Queen Mother, and all the BULLRUN community. Always looking forward to this day for very powerful meeting to enlighten and educate us. Now feeling very good being the number one in staking. Absolutely. It's something that we can really take pride in because we accomplished that all together as a community. And this is something no one can take away from us. And it's amazing to achieve that without even going through the bull cycle yet, without being listed on all these famous listings like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. So we still have a lot of room for growth. We still have a lot of room. And it's great to have achieved that first milestone that we always wanted to achieve. We have Queen Tomeletso. Says, greetings, our developers, Brother Steve, Queen Mother, and the entire BULLRUN community. Greetings right back to you too, Queen. We are always happy and glad to have you with us. We appreciate your consistency and always participating and being part of these events. We have Queen Viola says, greetings, BULLRUN community. Thanks once again to Dev Steve for yet another empowering session. We appreciate you very much, Queen Viola. We appreciate you so much for always participating, being part of these events, and for your feedbacks and participations. Then we have my brother, my brother Lincoln. Hi, brother Steve. Hello, right back to you too, my brother. Mama Winner and the BULLRUN community. Another day to learn and grow. What does the future hold for us in the blockchain world? Beautiful. There's so much that still beholds us and awaits us, things that we're not even aware yet. Like I said at the beginning, even to this day in 2025, there's still new applications using the internet technology that are being developed, that are being launched 30 years after the initial technology was actually introduced in 1993. So imagine now, regulations are not even laid out yet. So many products are not even launched yet. So what awaits us, I don't even know yet. Like I'm looking forward to be surprised myself of what else is to come. It's hard to anticipate a technology, a new asset class that literally is onboarding the entire financial industry, including the derivatives market, which is sitting on $2 quadrillion, using stablecoins as collateral to tokenize all assets that are scattered right now on different exchanges and bring them all under one umbrella, under one digital ledger technology on Ethereum. It's impressive. So I myself am looking forward to what's coming. All I know is that a lot of liquidity, a lot of volume is coming, and we have the platform to make the most out of that. That's one thing I know for sure. We have Queen Merenia says, so ready to be informed and educated once again. Thank you. Thank you so much for your feedback. We are always pleased and glad to have you here with us, Queen Merenia. We have Queen Super says, good evening, BULLRUN community, waiting for the amazing session. I hope that you were able to take away something from it today, and we are happy to have you here with us, Queen Super. Glad that you're able to make it and participate. We have Queen Emily says, good evening, Brother Steve, Mom Queen Awino, and BULLRUN community, tuned in to learn more today. Always a pleasure to see you, Queen Emily. We appreciate your engagement, your participation, your consistency as well. Always glad to have you here with us. Then we have none other than the wonderful Queen Val. Says, hello, BULLRUNNERS. Happy Thursday to you, Mr. Steve, Queen Madawino, and to all of us, BULLRUNNERS. So glad to hear from our teacher. Thank you so much, Queen Val, for your engagement, your participation, your consistency on Facebook, along with Queen Debbie, daily on Zoom, consistently participating with the banners as well. We appreciate you just as much. We appreciate you very, very much for your leadership. Here are the links for those new members. Welcome to the live stream. Feel free to join our Telegram communities. Here's the link to our BULLRUN. We have a link to Survivor here as well, and then Killer Whale. Like I said, we are very active, very, very active community. And we believe in our own strength, in organic. It might take longer, but it's solid, and it has a great foundation, right? So thank you for placing the links, Queen Val. Those who are not yet part of this movement, feel free to do so, even if it's just to be informed and educated and be part of a vibrant and very active, engaged community. We have the great one, my great brother Theo, says, greetings and happy Thursday, my great brother Steve, dearest great Queen Mama Wino, and my fantastic BRL family. Blockchain is the solution. We are the solution. Amazing session thus far. Thanks, great one. We appreciate you very much, great brother Theo. Your presence is always very, very well received and highly welcomed. Thank you for your feedback, and always a pleasure to see you in the community. And indeed, the blockchain is the solution. And that's how we should always view it, right? Queen Patricia says, thank you, Brother Steve, for your insightful teachings. Thank you too, Queen Patricia, for always participating, being engaged, not missing any of these events. We are all part of the solution here. We all work together. And then we have King, not to be named. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Brother Steve and Mother Wimo, for another great teaching session. Thank you as well. We're always pleased to see you in the community as well. We have Queen Resego says, good evening, BULLRUN community. To our developers, King Steve and Mama Wino, we are ready for our life-changing session. We are grateful for these insightful, educational, and inspiring presentations. It won't be the same without your presence, Queen Resego, and all other kings and queens as well. Like we always say, it takes a whole village, right? It takes all of us to make this happen. We all are contributing in our own unique ways for the betterment of all of us in our ecosystem, right? So I can only give it right back to you and all other kings and queens as well. Brother Theo says, greetings and happy Thursday, my great brother Steve, dearest great mother Wino, and my fantastic we read this. We read this before. Queen Louisa says, greetings, BULLRUN family. Always looking forward to today's inspiring sessions, educational and empowering indeed. Always a pleasure to see you in the participating in these community events, Queen Louisa. We appreciate you participating and being part of this. Then we have Queen Grace. Hello, BULLRUN family, King Stephen, our Dev, and Mama Wino. Another powerful session. Blessings to all. Thank you so much, Queen Grace. You're very, very much appreciated. I hope you and yours are well. We always are thrilled and excited to have you in the community. We appreciate your feedback as well. Then we have Queen Virginia says, thanks, Mr. Steve, for keeping BULLRUN family ahead. We appreciate you too for always participating and being part of these sessions so consistently. You are very, very much appreciated, Queen Virginia. Then we have Queen Kosi says, greetings, Queen Mother Wino, Brother Steve, and BRL family. I am grateful for our session for empowerment and enlightenment. Thank you, brother, for unpacking this topic for blockchain is the future. Absolutely, it is the future. And we are very fortunate, I should say, to not only be part of it in these early stages, but to actually have solutions for the challenges in the industry this early on in the stages. And our proof of concept is just one of them. Is already, we can tick one box already as being the most staked cryptocurrency already. We still have the most liquid that we need to take, the most scarce, the most traded. Those are boxes that we are lining up to be checked one after the other. And the beautiful thing is, because we focus on fundamentals, on solutions, our mechanism using this technology are developed to achieve those goals. So these are not lofty thoughts or wishful thinking or just speculation, but based on the fundamentals and our mechanisms using this technology, it's developed to achieve those milestones as we see it already achieved, the most staked, without even having to go through a full bull cycle yet. It's already achieved, and not amongst applications, amongst blockchains, right? And this is impressive, community. It's very impressive. So well said, Queen Kosi. Queen Joko says, greetings, BULLRUN community. Thanks, Steve, for this inspiration. We thank you as well for inspiring us with your presence, with your feedback, and your consistency as well, Queen Joko. We have Queen Maureen says, hello, King Brother Steve and BULLRUN community. I'm ready to learn why and how blockchain is the solution. Beautifully said, right? This is exactly what we need to be asking ourselves. The questions why and how. We should be inquisitive all the time. Question, reflect on these things, embrace them, understand them. Thank you, Steve, for your unwavering commitment to always educate, inspire, and inform. I thank you just as much for always being active and engaging, not just here on YouTube, but on various platforms. We see you on Twitter, we see you all over the place as well on various platforms, engaging and participating in these community events. We have Queen Marilyn says, enjoying the session greatly. We appreciate you very much, Queen Marilyn. Always such a pleasure to have you in the community. You are very much appreciated for your leadership and your presence in all these community events as well. We have Queen Jane. Queen Jane says, hello, Bull Runners, our dev King Steve, and our beautiful mom, Owenu. Thanks for our Thursday session, taking us through to understand more about the blockchain as the solution in the future. Blessings. Glad that you're able to take away something from it, and we hope you did so. It's always good to use these sessions as a point of reference, especially that we have so many of them. And we always aim to just discuss current events and how they relate to us, how they affect us directly or indirectly. It's ironic that even though finance is something that affects us or is part of us, I should say, in our daily lives, it's the least topic discussed or actually taught, not just in schools, but just even amongst families and friends, right? It's the least discussed and topic, even though it affects us directly and it's part of us on a daily basis. So this is why we stress on educating on topics such as monetary systems, how inflation affects liquidity, and we educate on topics that are not common, that are not generally fun or generally looked at as a interesting. But it's not about being entertained and being interesting. It's about being informed and understanding what we get ourselves in. If we don't understand these basic concepts, we won't be able to embrace and appreciate the challenges that we are addressing, because the challenges we are addressing are exactly these same challenges that we faced with: lack of liquidity, inflation, due to this monetary system that is debt driven and unsustainable. We have to teach about that. We have to inform about these topics. How else will we embrace the solutions? Will we understand the solutions and be part of this movement if we are not informed, not in the know in these basic concepts, right? So thank you so much, Queen Jane, for your feedback. My great brother Theo says, what a privilege it is to be a part of a community that is always ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. Gratitude. Absolutely, this is our aim as a community. This is our aim. There is no point of coming late to the party when everybody's already exiting the door and there's only crumbs left on the floor, not even on the table, right? So we don't want to be part of the crumbs. We want to be part of the solutions, seated at the table, and not just being part of it, but shaping it, right? And being part of the solutions. And this is what we want to be, and this is the mindset we want to just in impact in the community as well, right? That we stress on fundamentals, and now we see that fundamentals bring results, right? Fundamentals always bring results. Queen Esther says, good evening, BRL family. We are here again to be informed and educated by our amazing developers, Mr. Steve and Queen Mama Wino. Thank you so much, Queen Esther. We appreciate your consistency, your leadership, always being engaging and participating in these community events. It goes a very long way. We are humbled and pleased to have you here with us today. We have none other than Queen Mother Wino herself. Says, greetings, our awesome BULLRUN family. Congratulations on a great milestone, family. Without a sense of caring, there can be no sense of community. Beautifully said. Absolutely. And we can't stress this enough. It's congratulations on a great milestone, and it's a congratulations to every single one of us here, because we can only achieve all of this as a unit. And that's the beautiful thing about this ecosystem. One of the beautiful things as well is we win together, we work together. It's about a community. And we developed a platform that we all benefit from it. We're all part of the solution, right? It takes more than just one queen and one king. It takes every single one of us, and we all have to pull on the same string, work for the same cause, and to achieve the same goal, right? And this is why these sessions are so important. Thank you so much, Mom, for your feedback here. Thank you. Thanks, Steve, for always keeping us ahead of the curve. Education remains the key to both economic and political empowerment. Thank you so much for your feedback, and we can only thank you back as well, because we are only as good as how you're leading by example, right? We all have a mouth. We all can talk. We all have our opinions, right? However, actions always speak louder than opinions and words, and that's what we see in you, Mom. And we appreciate you very, very much for your leadership, your consistency, your commitment, and your leading by example. Very, very much, um, very, very much appreciated. We have Queen Patricia says, "Good evening, family, Mr. Steve. We are back again to learn and absorb knowledge from the best. Thank you, Steve, and stay blessed and protected always." Thank you so much, Queen Patricia, for always participating, always being engaged and part of these community events. You don't miss a beat. We very, very much appreciate you for your leadership. Your consistency goes a very long way. We appreciate you very, very much. Then we have King Franklin says, "Thank you, Brother Steve, for your consistency. Grazie." Thank you as well for your consistency as well. We appreciate you for being part of these sessions. You're very, very much appreciated. Queen Merenia says, "Congratulations, BULLRUN family, on being the most staked token in the industry, and a great job. Well done, Mr. Steve." I can give it right back to you too, Queen Merenia. It's your staked tokens that are pushing these numbers as well. It's everybody's staked tokens that are pushing these numbers. So there is no way one queen or one king can achieve such a tall order by themselves, right? It takes every single one of us, and this is something that we can take pride in, and nobody will ever be able to take this away from us. And actually, because we have a supply that keeps shrinking, that is literally scarce, it will be near impossible for somebody to overtake us. So this is a crown that we take, and with every trade, every time there is a buy or a sell, and our supply keeps shrinking, our staking percentage also keeps increasing. So this is a title that we'll always have, right? As long as there's trading volume going on, this is a title that no one can take away from us. We have Queen Louisa says, "Great news for this beautiful achievement." Absolutely. It's an amazing news. It's an amazing accomplishment based on not hype and wishful thinking and speculation, but based on fundamentals, using this blockchain technology to its fullest, and having such an amazing community that is so hardworking, that is so committed, that goes out of their way above and beyond to achieve this. So I tip my hat to all of you, all of us, and we achieved this together. That's the beautiful thing. Then we have Queen Mangai says, "Good night, family. We are blessed to be in this ecosystem, for we are chosen by His grace." Beautifully said, Queen Mangai. You're very, very much appreciated. We are very humbled to have you here with us today as well. And I hope that you're able to take away something from today's session. Then we have Queen Aloshi says, "We, the BULLRUN ecosystem family, should give glory to God for the milestone of #1 staking platform. Thanks our dev for this gift." Beautifully said, Queen Aloshi. Beautifully said. Indeed, that's exactly what it's about. Collective effort, and just acknowledging that we won't be achieving this without every single one participating as well. So beautifully said, Queen Aloshi. Uh, Queen says, thank you for good information about crypto, Steve. First time I'm watching you. I'm impressed. You know this job very well. Thank you so much. Welcome to the community. We are very pleased to have you here with us. Follow us also on other channels. We are very active on Twitter as well, on Zoom, um, and also on Telegram as well. So we are happy. We are glad to have you here with us. Um, we have a wonderful Queen Lathi is here as well. Greetings, BULLRUN family. Much appreciated to our developers. Indeed, family, let's embrace the blockchain technology, which has now become the new normal, overtaking the traditional existing systems. There's really nothing more to add here. This is beautifully said, on point. Indeed, the example is how last year's transaction volume surpassed Visa and MasterCard combined. So we see that this is a technology that is indeed here to stay. So let's embrace it, like Queen Lathi said, beautifully said. We read this. We are happy to have you here with us, Queen or King. We have my great brother Theo says, thank you, great one, for this absolutely phenomenal session. And I just want to thank you for always taking the time to read every single comment from our community as well. Absolutely. There is no way I'm going to miss these comments because you take your time to write them and you put your effort to write them. So it's the least I can do is to acknowledge and to read every single one of them. We appreciate you very much as well, King Theo. And as always, thank you for continuing to educate, inspire, and empower us all. You are so very much appreciated. Great General, salute. Thank you so much for your feedbacks, your engagement. It goes a very long way. We see you also on Twitter, making a lot of noise, engaging. We always a pleasure to see you participating consistently in these community events. Queen Lathi says, indeed, the developers deserve the great general salute. So well said, King Theo. Thank you so much for your feedback again, Queen Lathi. Then we have Ocean says, the BULLRUN community, thank you for the educational and informative live stream. It's great to be back. Let's go, BRL. Beautiful said. On a high note, there's no better way than to wrap up this session today. Like my great brother Theo said, it takes a long time nowadays to go through all these comments because we've grown so much as a community, and it takes quite a long time to go through them. But we gladly go through all of them because we acknowledge all of you and we appreciate all of you for participating, engaging. And this is how we bring awareness to this industry. And this is how we highlight how we are part of a solution using this amazing blockchain technology, like the topic of today is. And the moral of the story is that we understand how and why blockchain is the solution. And our greatest hope is that today's session highlighted how and why blockchain is a solution, and how we as participants, as community members, are part of this solution as well, using this platform as we know it. With all of that said, community, we appreciate you all. Thank you for participating once more. Thank you for taking your time and being part of these sessions today. I want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. And for the amazing and beautiful queens, I wish you a wonderful session tomorrow on Friday. For the new members that tuned in today for the first time, if you are a queen, I encourage you to participate in the events tomorrow and on Sunday. There are very powerful, very amazing, where queens come together to empower each other, to uplift each other, and discuss beyond blockchain, right? We all acknowledge that acknowledge you and appreciate you all, queens and kings, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your week. For the rest of us, let's meet the latest on Saturday, where we'll have our Twitter space. With all of that said, community, be blessed, be safe. Till we meet again. Bye bye, community.